Hey AstroSnobs, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're talking all things wealth. I will tell you how to read your natal chart in order to discover your unique path to wealth. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming astrology videos. I post every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, let's begin. So let's start by defining wealth. Wealth is all about owning and preserving items of value, aka assets. Wealth can be material or non-material. Wealth is relative, so what is considered wealthy for someone can be considered poor for someone else. Wealth is sustainable and long-lasting, not to be confused with richness. Because of human advancement, the concept of wealth changes over time, so what is considered wealthy today won't necessarily be considered wealthy in a few decades. Finally, scarcity is an important factor for wealth. The more something is scarce, the more valuable that thing is. I went through more than 40 natal charts of the wealthiest people on the whole planet, and trust me when I tell you that they each have their own unique placements, and that reflects how wealth can take many forms and there is no universal formula. So it's okay if your natal chart doesn't resemble Bill Gates' natal chart in any way. You can still be wealthy, you'll just achieve it in a different way than Bill Gates. Something that stood out to me while looking at the charts is that the majority of these billionaires are either air dominant, water dominant, or they have air or water as one of their top two elements in their chart. Air is all about knowledge. Air likes to think, rationalize, analyze, question things, communicate, and connect with other people on an intellectual plane. Air is all about social connections, and there's this one sentence that wealthy individuals repeat constantly, and that is, your network is your net worth. Another popular sentence is, knowledge is power. And you know what? Astrology kind of confirms it all. And remember when I said that wealth could take many forms? Well, intellectual property is one of these forms, and that is everything that pertains to copyright, author's rights, trademarks, patents, etc. Air-dominant individuals are also voracious readers and lifelong learners, two traits that are very common among wealthy individuals. Gemini loves to stay in the know, absorb information, and interact with as many people as possible. Libra deals with partnerships, and a lot of these billionaires are co-founders, meaning that they joined forces with someone else and started a venture. It can also deal with the law, since a huge part of those billionaires' lives revolves around suing other businesses or even getting sued for issues like infringement and misappropriation, and that Libra energy can help someone handle these legal issues gracefully. Aquarius is more concerned about the future of society and thinking outside the box in order to solve large-scale problems. Water rules emotional bonds, emotional closeness, and who do we develop those ties with? Our family. There's a huge correlation between wealth and family, especially with the billionaires chart I read, and that is because a lot of wealthy people are wealthy because they come from wealthy families, and that is called generational wealth. Scorpio does deal with other people's money as well as the money from the deceased, aka inheritances. Scorpio is also very strategic, power hungry, and likes to dominate no matter what. Cancer deals with family but also tradition, the past, which highlights the fact that Cancer likes to stick with strategies that worked in the past, and that is why they tend to follow their parents' footsteps when it comes to wealth. Cancers are also very nurturing. They like to provide for other people, so when it comes to achieving wealth, they're not just hustling for themselves, they're also doing it for their loved ones, so that selflessness adds an extra boost of drive. Water individuals are very charitable, and a huge portion of the billionaires I analyzed are also philanthropists. Water signs are also very private, secretive, and protective, and the sad reality is that a big part of wealth is not telling poor people how to get wealthy, so that the wealthy get wealthier while the poor get poorer. This secretive aspect can also deal with unethical ways to get wealthy, such as exploitation, stealing, fraud, which are topics that usually fall under the sign of Scorpio and Pisces. Water signs are also known for the emotional intelligence. They're very intuitive and sometimes psychic, so they're able to make predictions about what other people need and then give it to them. They're also very good at timing, so they're able to launch businesses at the right time, and that is a huge aspect of wealth. They're also high on security and stability, which are also conducive to wealth. So air and water are the top two elements, but that doesn't mean that earth and fire don't matter. Fire is that motivation that pushes you to get started and take risks. It's also very creative and charismatic. Earth is the one who makes sure that the business plan is practical, sustainable, and profitable. It likes to take its time but is very patient and hardworking. The main lesson here is that each element brings something useful to someone's journey towards wealth, but it's important to get in contact with all four elements. So if you're lacking in certain elements, get with people who possess those lacking elements. You can also look at the activities in your 7th house to see what kind of people you need to surround yourself with. The same thing can be said about the modalities, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Here's an example. Bobby Murphy is a fire, water, and cardinal dominant individual. Evan Spiegel is an earth, cardinal, and fixed dominant individual. Bobby excels in the creative parts of the business, fire and water, while Evan is better at the more practical aspects and long-term growth of the business, earth. Bobby is also good at taking action and move with passion, cardinal, while Evan is more of a slow, calm type who specializes in fleshing out what has already been started and maintaining the status quo, fixed. Together, Bobby and Evan complete each other and were able to turn Snapchat into a multi-billion-dollar business. Teamwork always makes the dream work. Remember when I said that the concept of wealth evolves according to human advancement? Well, this can be represented by Uranus. I know, Uranus is not a personal planet, it's a societal planet concerned with society. So what does that have to do with wealth? Well, when you look at those billionaires, the one thing they have in common is that they all benefit society in their own unique way. And even when you think about, let's say, Jeff Bezos, the first thing that comes to mind isn't his wealth. It's the fact that he revolutionized the way we shop by creating Amazon. When I say Paris Hilton, you think about how she changed reality television before you think about her assets. Wealthy individuals do their own thing and are not afraid to be unique. And remember when I said that scarcity is linked to wealth? Well, when you're unique, you're scarce, and when you're scarce, you're valuable. So Uranus's sign, house placement, dispositor, and aspects are great wealth indicators. Steven Spielberg is an American film director, producer, and screenwriter. His Uranus is in the sign of Gemini in the 12th house. This points to Steven expressing his uniqueness through his creative writing abilities. Gemini, in the movie industry, the 12th house. His Uranus is opposing his Sagittarius sun, and it's being deposited by his Mercury in Sagittarius, both in the 6th house, which gives him the urge to turn his scripts into actual concrete movies, the 6th house, that are extravagant, exciting, and larger than life, Sagittarius. Gina Reinhardt is an Australian heiress and owns a mineral exploration and extraction company. Her Uranus is in the sign of Cancer in her 10th house, and Cancer is the sign of family, which could point to her being an heiress. And the 10th house is all about business. It's also associated with the father, and the mining company that she currently owns was founded by her father. Cancer also deals with the land as well as things that are underneath it. Gina's Uranus is trining her Scorpio Mars, which makes her willing and determined, Mars, to be in a power position in her company, Scorpio, with a focus on profitability, the 2nd house. Bill Gates is an American software developer. His Uranus is in the sign of Leo in his 1st house. Leo is all about the self, and so is his 1st house, and Bill Gates is known for making it possible for people to have personal computers in their homes. His Uranus is being deposited by his Scorpio sun in his 4th house, and it's also squaring it, which gives him an internal desire to transform Scorpio, the home computer industry, the 4th house. Jeff Bezos is an American internet entrepreneur. He has a Virgo Uranus in his 6th house. Virgo deals with books and libraries, and when Jeff started Amazon, it was initially only an online bookstore, but it then expanded over time to sell pretty much everything. Virgo and the 6th house also deal with service, and having Uranus in that sign can cause a disruption in the service industry, which Jeff definitely caused. Jeff's Uranus is being deposited posited by his Capricorn Mercury located in his 9th house, and it's also trining it, which gives him a business mindset, Mercury in Capricorn, and an ability to lead large projects, the 9th house, to practical fruition, Capricorn. So everyone can be wealthy. Unfortunately, not everyone will be wealthy, and that is mostly because most people lack drive. One thing I noticed while looking at these billionaire natal charts is that the majority of these billionaires are either Aries suns, Scorpio suns, or their Mars is strongly expected. This means that ambition and drive are ingrained in their being. If you're serious about becoming wealthy, you have to take matters into your own hands, take action, and start your own ventures. No one became wealthy by working for someone else. You need to become your own boss and have total control over how wealth flows to you. Mars is daring, courageous, and doesn't care about obstacles. When something goes wrong, they deal with it, move on, and start something else. Mars is passionate, fiery, and reminds you to keep your eyes on the prize and the #1 spot. Always look forward, never backwards. Vladimir Putin is a Russian politician. He has a Sagittarius Mars in the 2nd house, and this indicates a desire to get wealthy, the 2nd house, by leading Mars in the field of politics, Sagittarius. And Putin has served as the president of Russia for several years now. His Mars is also his natal chart ruler, since Putin is a Scorpio ascendant, and Scorpio is a fixed sign that's very possessive, that enjoys power and doesn't like to let go of it, so that's a huge part of his personality. Mackenzie Scott is an American novelist. She has her Mars in the sign of Taurus in her 1st house, which makes her very financially driven and wealth-oriented. She actually has a lot of Taurus planets in her 1st house, which really makes money and possessions a focal point in her life and personality. Mackenzie's Mars is depositing her Scorpio Jupiter in the 7th house of relationships, which could point to her receiving financial gains, Jupiter, from her partner, Scorpio, through a divorce, the 7th house. And we all know what happened between her and Jeff Bezos. Françoise Bettencourt-Meyers is a French heiress and author. She has a Cancer Mars in her 4th house. Her Mars is part of a 4th house Cancer stellium consisting of Mars, Sun, and Uranus. That Cancer influence could point to Françoise being an heiress, and Cancer also deals with personal care and hygiene, and Françoise's family actually owns L'Oreal. Her Mars being conjunct to her Sun and Uranus could point to Françoise wanting to do her own thing, and she actually decided to focus on her career as an author as opposed to L'Oreal, and her Cancer planets are being deposited by her moon, which is located in her 3rd house of books and written communication. Her Cancer Mars can also indicate domestic conflicts, and with her Mars and her Sun squaring Saturn and Neptune in Libra in her 7th house, this can point to these issues being taken to court. And in 2008, Françoise sued a man for allegedly stealing money from her mom, but her mom was contesting that claim and saying that she gave that man her money with her consent. Uranus in Cancer can also point to controversy surrounding someone's family, and apparently Françoise's grandfather was friends with the Nazis in the past, and this sparked a lot of controversy when it became public knowledge. So the concept of wealth isn't that complex, was it? Here's a recap of the 3 wealth indicators in your natal chart. 1. Take advantage of your dominant elements and modalities in your chart. These are your strengths. And surround yourself with people who are dominant in the elements and modalities that you lack. 2. Be unique. Look at Uranus, its sign, its house placement, its dispositor, and its aspects. 3. Take action. Nothing will work until you do. Look at Mars, its sign, its house placement, its dispositor, and its aspects. Also, don't forget that your natal chart isn't the end-all be-all, and that your free will, the current transits, and perfection years can activate your opportunities for wealth later in life. So definitely keep up with your transits. Now it's your turn. Go read your own natal chart and see if you have any of these wealth indicators. Take some time to reflect on what they mean and share your thoughts with me in the comments below. Also, let me know if you enjoyed this video and what kind of videos you'd like to see in the future. Feel free to check out my Britney Spears natal chart reading and watch last week's video about the 7 natal chart indicators for a future as an astrologer. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.